Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Links are in the description below. Please show some love of the author and me. On to the show.
Kill the 8th level Lord of the Alien Plane, obtain 670,000 mana, and gain 1 point of battlefield merit. Kill the 8th level Lord of the Alien Plane, obtain 330,000 mana, and gain 1 point of battlefield merit. Kill the 8th level Lord of the Alien Plane, obtain 580,000 mana, and gain 1 point of battlefield merit. 5 reminders sounded in Lin Yu's mind, making him stunned for a moment. Kill the lords of the same battlefield camp. Can you also get battlefield merit? Lin Yu's eyes gradually narrowed, and his expression became subtle. This rule was not stated clearly in the initial prompt. In the introduction of battlefield merits, it is only marked as obtained by killing designated enemies. He originally thought that this was a contest between the 10,000 realms and the Eternal Realm. In the end, I found out that I thought too simply. It was okay if everyone didn't know this rule at first. At least they could temporarily unite for battlefield tasks, and there wouldn't be too many conflicts. But as time goes by, it becomes difficult to tell. After all, people are greedy. Once a few people start to understand this rule, chaos will begin. In addition, all the lords now only have one supply station, so the conflict will be more likely to intensify, and it may even turn into a big fight. This is battlefield number 1. Sure enough, it's not simple. You know this system has bad intentions. Lin You cursed secretly and looked at the 5 lords who had turned into corpses. These people can come here, and their strength is not weak, but unfortunately, they encountered Ivy, whose bloody frenzy had not yet subsided. In addition, there was only one exit inside the lair, so they became turtles in a jar, and were all killed on the spot. The only regret is that the Lord does not have much magic power. In the early stages of the battlefield, the 5 people combined only provided him with about 2 million magic energy. In addition, what I got from killing monsters along the way was exactly 4 million, which was not even enough to exchange for an orb of faith. Fortunately, I have accumulated 6 battlefield merit points. It can be considered a big gain. Let's go and look somewhere else. After saying something to the plants around him, Lin You led the team out of the nest and continued to explore other places. In addition to collecting exchange resources, he now has another goal, which is to kill more lord monsters and obtain troop upgrade scrolls, because he still has 3 scrolls to upgrade all the royal troops to the 9th level. The troop upgrade scrolls are only available in the battlefield of all realms, so I must take advantage of this opportunity to collect a few more. Otherwise, you can only spend 108th level territory essences to upgrade your troops, which is a bit wasteful. And just as he continued to go deeper into the city on every corner of the battlefield, many lords also discovered the hidden rules in the battlefield, and battles began to appear frequently and filled everywhere. In order to maximize their profits, some teams even united with each other to secretly hunt down the lords of other realms. The entire battlefield was filled with shouts of death and fighting sounds, and there was a strong smell of gunpowder smoke at this time. Somewhere unknown, a team of lords who had just cleared out the monster's lair suddenly received a prompt. Congratulations! The hidden condition has been triggered, and the hidden mission backstab on the battlefield has been activated. Help the Eternal Realm side, and destroy the foundation stone of the 10,000 realms side to get the same reward. Do you want to accept it? Oh, there is actually a hidden mission. Interesting. The leading man raised the corners of his mouth slightly, stretched out his finger to confirm the option, and tapped it lightly. But he didn't notice that in a corner in the distance, several black figures turned away and disappeared into the darkness. And the same thing is quietly happening in every corner of the battlefield at this time. The other side, Lin You was not involved in the struggle among the lords, because at this time, he had gradually left the outer area, where the dispute was most intense, and came to a deeper place. The 9th level monsters along the way have also evolved from the initial F level to E level, and their strength has improved. But this didn't have much impact on Lin You. Relying on the abnormal defense of the troops, he still pushed all the way and cleared away all the monsters along the way. It was not until mid-afternoon that we finally arrived at the outskirts of the forest we had seen outside the position. This forest looks like a place haunted by plant monsters. If you encounter a lord monster, you might be able to find something useful from the plant system. This is also the reason why Lin You chose to come here first. After a brief repair outside the forest, he slowly walked in with his army of soldiers, while secretly alerting the surroundings. This forest is not big, but it covers several streets. Huge vines grew wildly, destroying almost all the surrounding buildings. There are only a few faintly visible deep roads leading inside, and dark shadows flashing inside from time to time. Lin You noticed it keenly. The moment he stepped into the forest, he seemed to be stared at by something. It doesn't feel like it comes from a monster, but more like a lord. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Just as he was thinking about it, several sounds bursting through the air suddenly sounded. A large number of vines, with black spikes, suddenly rushed out of the originally silent forest and surrounded him. And behind the big tree in the distance, two figures appeared closely. Lin You couldn't help but be shocked by the twisted and weird appearance, and a pair of black-red eyes that were different from other lords. "Bye. You'll be unlucky if you meet us. I didn't expect someone to come to my door so soon. Come on, suck his blood dry." Extremely arrogant voices came from the two people. Lin You finally confirmed their identities. Astonishingly, he is the Lord of the Eternal World. Who dared to hesitate and immediately shouted to the soldiers around him, "Stop them." In the blink of an eye, all the front line troops and the Immortal Flower Legion turned into an encirclement, protecting his position, and faced the rushing vines. "Too naive. Do you think we are still the same as you guys? It's better to accompany us to hell together." The two Eternal Realm Lords looked ferocious and made mad noises. The face that appeared deformed due to the mutation became even more distorted. Then Lin You was surprised to find that the attack of their troops was 3 points stronger than the ordinary 9th level. In one fell swoop, a large piece of the Immortal Flower fell off him, and directly wrapped around the bodies of the Ancient Tree Legion and Cactus Soldiers, with the barbs deeply embedded in them. Is it because of chaos infection? Lin You was slightly startled, extremely surprised in his heart. He did not expect that the breath of chaos would also have a strengthening effect on the Lord, but it would be too naive to want to deal with him just based on this level. With a thought, the entangled melee soldiers suddenly broke free from their restraints, broke the vines on their bodies, and rushed towards the two of them. The expressions of the two Eternal World Lords changed. They did not expect that Lin Yu's troops would escape control so easily. "There's something wrong with this guy. Block them." The two of them shouted in shock and exited violently. And where they were standing, a large number of corroded and infected plant soldiers began to emerge, colliding with Lin Yu's plant army. Just the next second, their troops were defeated like a mountain, and the Ancient Tree army led by King Gong flew out with brute force and directly opened a gap. "It's not a one-time enemy at all. How can it be?" The two people's eyes widened, looking at their retreating troops in shock, thinking that they had seen it wrong. But when Qin Gang, holding a huge sword in his hand, rushed in front of them, their expressions suddenly changed. Only different from the lords from all walks of life. The two men did not run away out of fear of death. Instead, their faces became more ferocious and fierce, and their gazes were directed at Lin You. "Want to kill us? Then you can die with us." Ha 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 ha. A cold and terrifying laughter exploded in the mouths of the two of them. The black-red eyes finally turned completely red, bursting out with intense bloodthirsty light, and the deformed body began to expand rapidly, and the muscles bulged exaggeratedly. They turned into two deformed monsters several meters tall and covered in pus. This sudden change startled Lin You, and couldn't help but step back. But as soon as he took half a step, the two deformed monsters suddenly raised their heads, their bloodthirsty eyes locked on him. Boom. There was an explosion under the feet. Two huge figures rushed out, turned into sharp arrows and rushed through the Ancient Tree army's defense, and arrived in front of Lin You, in the blink of an eye. So fast. LinYu was shocked. This level of speed has far exceeded the 8th level. Although he can be faster, he cannot have such powerful explosive power. Is this the Lord who was completely infected by the aura of chaos? It's absolutely terrifying. Don't dare to be careless. The power of the rules explodes. Directly activates the 4-leaf clover's 4-leaf protection, and all attributes are increased by 39%. Avoid the two attacks at an extremely tricky angle. At the same time, palms flew, and countless vines suddenly rushed out from the ground, tying them up. The huge bodies fell to the ground due to inertia, splashing large amounts of dust. Roar, kill you. With an indistinct roar, the two deformed monsters suddenly broke free from their restraints, climbed up from the ground, and rushed towards Lin You again. However, what greeted them were two leaves imbued with the aura of ice, hitting them precisely in front of their faces. Bang! The cold air exploded and swept through the whole body in an instant, freezing them in place. It is the active effect of the Frost Spirit Bracelet. Can add 10 layers of frost to the next attack. Taking advantage of this opportunity to control, Lin Yu's troops finally arrived, and swarmed them directly. A large attack fell, completely engulfing them. The two aberrant monsters roared angrily, and attacked the surrounding troops crazily. But in the end, the two fists were no match for the 4 hands, and the momentum gradually weakened after a while, until it completely disappeared. Kill the 8th level Lord of the Alien Plane, obtain 1 million mana, and gain 1 point of battlefield merit. Kill the 8th level Lord of the Alien Plane, obtain 1 million mana, and gain 1 point of battlefield merit. The reward for killing the Lord of the Ancient World is actually the same as the 9th level Lord monster. This was something Lin You didn't expect at all, and it is different from other lords. After killing the Lord of the Eternal World, there was actually no territorial essence. Is this the difference between the Lords of the Eternal Realm and them? After killing the 2 Lords of the Eternal Realm, Lin Yu's battlefield merits increased to 8 points, and his mana reached nearly 7 million. Continue at this pace, he should be able to collect enough resources to exchange for the Orb of Faith before dark, and the speed is not bad. However, sometimes, plans often fail to keep up with changes. Just when Lin Yu finished cleaning up the scene, and was about to continue exploring deep into the dense forest, several reminders suddenly sounded in his mind. Warn, the position is under attack. Warn, the position is under attack. Warn, the position is under attack. The position was attacked. Lin Yu, who had just stood up, was shocked in his heart. He did not expect that Eternal World would choose to attack at this time. He glanced at the already gloomy sky, without hesitation, immediately withdrew his troops, mounted the Demon Emperor Dragon, and rushed back toward the formation. When passing through the streets where I came from, I encountered many lords running on them. Like him, he received the system prompt and hurried back, looking extremely anxious. No way. There is only one position. Once they are breached, they will have to work independently for the next 3 days, and the possibility of being defeated one by the Eternal World is greatly increased. What's more, there are treasure exchanges in the camp. As long as they are not stupid, they know that they must protect it to death. Quick, the base is under attack. Let's go back and provide support. God damn it. The remnants of the Eternal World chose this moment to attack. We must kill them all this time. The lords kept shouting and shouting, and mounted soldiers gathered from all directions. The entire sky and earth are filled with figures of all sizes on the road, and it looks extremely spectacular. Fortunately, all the flying units along the way had been cleared away, so it didn't cause much hindrance to them. Just under 20 minutes, Lin Yu followed the crowd back to the position. Looking from a distance, it turned out that a large black shadow was launching a fierce attack on the city wall, and roars and shouts of killing continued to be heard. Kill, push it to me, block, we must not let them attack. Ha ha ha, if you dare to come to our Eternal Realm territory, your death has come. Wherever he looked, the scene was extremely chaotic, with attacks flying all over the place in every corner of the entire position. Lords from all walks of life defended the city, resisting the attack from the Eternal Realm on the city wall. The troops from both sides fought wildly, and the walls were full of corpses. As soon as Lin Yu and other lords who rushed back from outside appeared, a large number of lords from the ancient world led their troops to block their way, and did not give them a chance to support them. Get away from them. The lords from all walks of life shouted angrily and summoned a large number of troops to collide with the Eternal World interception team, and the battle broke out in an instant. Lin Yu briefly scanned the field. It was discovered that the number of Eternal Realm lords on the field was extremely exaggerated, several percent more than all their lords from all walks of life combined, and they were scattered everywhere on the streets around the position. Is this Eternal World coming out in full force to fight them to the death? This is only the first day. Go down first. He didn't dare to think too much. He said something to the Demon Emperor Dragon under him, and then turned around to avoid the soldiers rushing towards him, and landed on one of the streets. With the current situation, it is obviously impossible for them to break through the encirclement of the Eternal Realm and rush back to their position. We can only cooperate inside and outside, and fight from 2 sides. Then, relying on the advantage of the Lord in the position that he can replenish troops at any time, he gradually consumes the opponent's troops, so that he can successfully repel the opponent. Come quickly, we can't stand it here. You are a bastard in the ancient world. You are about to die and you still don't stop. Why don't you just wait for death? Kill. On the street where Lin Yu was, people were shouting angrily. Arms of both sides were spread out in every corner of the street, fighting fiercely at the corners, and the sounds of explosions and buildings collapsing one after another could be heard. Large clouds of smoke spread across the street. It's useless. You can't stop us. Just go to hell with us. The Lord of the Eternal Realm laughed ferociously, and the troops infected by the aura of chaos began to attack more and more fiercely, beating the lords of all realms to retreat. Coupled with the inability to replenish their troops, they had to retreat to a corner and struggle to support themselves. When the Lord of the Eternal World saw this, his face became even more distorted and he laughed wantonly. After being infected by chaos, the minds of these lords changed to varying degrees, and became more manic. Bang! At this moment, sparks exploded in the crowd. A stream of red light suddenly swept out with unparalleled power, heading towards the team of lords on the opposite side. One of the elemental lords, who was laughing wildly, changed his expression. Several solid rock walls suddenly rushed out and blocked him. His reaction was extremely fast. The next second, there was a loud bang. The red stream of light penetrated directly through the rock wall. Under the horrified gaze of the elemental lord, it penetrated into his chest and exploded into a large cloud of blood mist. Kill the 8th level Lord of the Alien Plane, obtain 1 million mana, and gain 1 point of battlefield merit. Kill instantly with 1 hit. No suspense. The sudden change immediately caused the lords on both sides to be severely startled and look towards the direction of the attack. I happened to see Lin You, who had just landed, and the cannon beside him that was still smelling of flames. That's the explosive archer unit. Is the plant type explosive shooter that big? An 8th level lord fell in 1 second. What a strong attack power. Explosive shooter, one of the advanced branches of pea shooter, is not such a rare unit. Basically every lord has seen it, but this was the first time they saw a burst shooter with such terrifying attack power. It simply refreshed their stereotype of plants as having high defense and low attack. Especially the Lord of the Eternal Realm opposite him was so shocked that his expression changed drastically. Although they are not afraid of death, but being shot through the chest suddenly from a distance of 100 meters was still very shocking to them. In shock, they all hurriedly retreated, letting their soldiers protect their bodies, and looked at Lin You warily. Lin You sighed secretly. He knew that the best time for a sneak attack had passed, so I stopped being the one who stood out and gathered all the troops around me to resist the attack of the opponent's troops together. At the same time, I let Wang lurk around and look for the next opportunity to attack, that's all. Take advantage of the position. The two teams fought fiercely inside and outside the position for nearly half an hour. Finally, when the sky was getting dark, a powerful shout suddenly sounded, retreat. With a single order, the Lord of the Eternal World, who had been attacking fiercely and frantically, receded like the tide. He was so fast that he disappeared at the end of the dark street in the blink of an eye. Obviously, they saw that the position could not be attacked for a long time, so they gave up their plan to continue the attack. We won. It's too young to break through our position. Ha ha ha. Seeing that the Eternal Realm had all retreated, the lords from all walks of life rejoiced and shouted excitedly. In the first battle between the two sides, they won in the end. This also greatly increased their confidence, and they ruthlessly laughed at the Eternal World who escaped. But Lin You, among the crowd, was not happy because he found that the overall strength of the Eternal World Lord was much weaker than he thought. He had fought against the lords of the Eternal Realm in the forest before and knew their general strength, coupled with the numerical advantage. If you attack with all your strength, you still have a good chance of attacking the position. Even if there is no way to destroy the cornerstone of the position, at least it will not end hastily like now. He didn't think that those crazy guys chose to retreat because they were afraid of death, or they were just a test this time. Are you planning to retain your strength and then find an opportunity to launch a general attack on them? This is also a possibility. Don't know why. Lin You always felt that this attack was not as simple as he imagined. At least it would not be just a simple attack. It seems that the people over there are not simple either. Lin You thought silently in his heart, secretly keeping an eye on this matter. In this battle, he killed a total of 5 lords of the Eternal Realm. The magic energy finally reached 12 million, and the battlefield meritorious service reached 13 points. Finally, I can exchange it for an orb of faith. Seeing that it was getting dark, he didn't think anymore, and followed the lords through the streets, and rushed back to the position. After half a day of fighting, the number of lords from all walks of life has obviously become much smaller. Those weaker lords have basically been eliminated, and the rest are those who are stronger or have good ways to save their lives. But some lords are also very smart. Knowing that he was weak, he simply stayed in the position and did not go out, or form a gang with a realm with good relations to fight against threats from other realms. This resulted in the entire position being filled with gangs and groups of lords and factions everywhere. As soon as Lin You walked through the entrance and entered the camp, he felt a tense atmosphere rushing towards him. He observed it. All lords can basically be divided into 3 major camps. One is the human camp headed by the man who called for everyone to unite. One is the alien camp headed by King Feng. The remaining one is a loose alliance composed of independent camps. It only lasted half a day. A tripartite force was thus formed, living in 3 areas of the position. The remaining 1/3 of the lords remained neutral, and did not join any camp really. Wherever there are people, there will be fights. What you said is absolutely correct, especially after repelling the army of the Eternal Realm, and feeling that there was no threat from the Eternal Realm. This momentum became more and more obvious. Almost all the lords' attention has shifted from garrisoning positions to competing for interests. None of this matters. The most important thing is that the cornerstone of the position at this time has been completely controlled by the 3 parties. If others want to exchange items to recruit troops, they must hand over the corresponding resources. Although the individual lords were angry, They dared not speak out and did not dare to offend these three forces, or you can only join them in exchange for the opportunity to use the cornerstone of the position. Boy, are you looking for death? Don't you know that you have to hand over resources to use the cornerstone? Suddenly, an angry curse sounded in the middle of the battlefield. The lords, who were still wary of each other, all looked towards the source of the sound. At the corner of the foundation stone, a large group of people surrounded several lords, their arrogance reaching the extreme. It is a loose alliance of one of the three major camps. The foundation stone of the position is obviously public. Why should we hand over resources to you? The surrounded lords said without humility. Although they are weak, they are all the best 8th level lords in their respective realms, and they naturally have a sense of arrogance in their hearts. As soon as these words came out, this immediately caused the other Sanaran lords to nod silently, feeling that the three major alliances had gone too far. Immediately, many lords stood up and wanted to express their support, but immediately, those lords were hurriedly grabbed by their companions. Don't go. There are too many of them. Do you want to die with those people? You're crazy. Come back. The number of people in the three major camps accounted for almost 2/3 of all the lords. In addition, these scattered lords do not share the same enemy, so it is too difficult for them to unite to fight. If you come forward at this time, you will only offend the three major camps. Even if they won't be attacked by a group, they will definitely be targeted everywhere in the future. This is too deadly for the crisis-ridden battlefield of the world. Why? Just because there are so many of us. Seeing the reactions of everyone around him, the scarred-faced man who headed the team alliance flashed a trace of pride in his eyes and said coldly, "On the side." The human camp and the alien camp looked at each other with eager eyes, also watching with cold eyes. The three parties had an agreement to share the resources obtained from the search equally, so even if they don't speak, they are indirectly doing evil, which is no better. This made the besieged lords even more angry. Can we occupy the cornerstone of the position with more people? Don't forget that there are so many realm lords here. You guys, don't go too far. Excessive. Look, who dares to stand up and speak to you now? The scar-faced man sneered disdainfully. If you keep talking nonsense like this, don't blame us for being rude. If you want to fight, let's fight. Are we still afraid of you? We will never collude with you guys. Several people were obviously aroused, and were too lazy to talk nonsense. Their auras exploded and they immediately summoned their troops to protect them. The other lords nearby looked at him and shook their heads. The pride of these people is indeed worthy of admiration, but choosing to fight head-on with the three major camps under such a huge disparity in numbers would be tantamount to death. Some even stayed away from here for fear of being involved in this battle. Good, very good. The scar-faced man said two good words in a row, and there was strong murderous intent in his eyes. The lords of the team alliance behind him summoned troops with unkind expressions on their faces, gradually shrinking the encirclement. The besieged lords looked gloomy and were ready to fight to the death. The entire battlefield was filled with a chilling atmosphere. The atmosphere was tense, and even the breathing of others could be clearly heard. It's late at night. Don't you all need to sleep? Unexpectedly, a lazy voice suddenly sounded. Everyone was stunned and subconsciously looked towards the source of the sound. At the entrance of the position, a figure was seen walking slowly, passing through the crowd and arriving on the battlefield. It's him, Lin You of the primitive world. Why is he here? The lords looked at Lin You, who was walking slowly, in surprise. That relaxed look made all the lords feel stunned. Can't he see that the situation on the field is tense now? Many lords knew about Lin Yu's strength, especially in battlefield number 1. Almost half of them are old faces, so they naturally recognize Lin You even more. But no matter how powerful one person is, it is impossible to deal with so many lords of the same level at once, let alone the best in each field. He chose to appear at this time. Aren't you afraid of offending the three major camps? Just when everyone was puzzled, King Feng, the leader of the alien camp, suddenly walked out of the team and blocked Lin Yu's way. What? You want to get involved in this matter? King Feng said with narrowed eyes. You want to stop me? Lin Yu glanced at him. Stop you? No, no, no. I'm just asking casually. King Feng shrugged, looking indifferent. Although he is the leader of the alien camp and has many subordinates, he is still reluctant to create a strong enemy like Lin Yu for the camp. As for asking Lin Yu to hand over resources, what a joke. There are probably not many people in the entire one battlefield who would dare to do this. Especially now is the time when the three major camps are trying their best to win over other lords. If he dared to do this, it would be equivalent to pushing Lin Yu, a powerful enemy, to the opposite side. Wouldn't he play into the hands of the other two camps? He was not stupid, so he would not do such a thankless thing, and secretly asked people in the alien camp to make way for Lin Yu. As for the human camp, they remain in a wait-and-see state for the time being, with neither side getting involved and seeming to be waiting for the opportunity as expected. Seeing that his good deeds were interrupted, The scar-faced man looked at Lin You with a gloomy expression. Are you that Lin You? The words were full of disdain. He had been around battlefield number 1 for so long, so he had naturally heard of Lin Yu's name, but he had never seen Lin Yu take action, so he was skeptical about the descriptions in the rumors. After all, there were always a lot of exaggerations in the rumors. What's more, there are so many of them now, so what if you are stronger? Do you still want to think about going against so many people? This is also one of the sources of his arrogance. I heard that using the foundation stone will require you to hand over resources. Lin Yu said calmly. Yes. What do you want? The scar-faced man looked proud. Of course he knew what the other two camps were waiting for, and he was filled with disdain. With so many lords under his command, he was actually afraid of just one lord. He is so timid and fearful, and he is really getting better with time, and he is not worthy of being his opponent at all. I don't want to do anything, but some of these people are from my clan. Let them go. Lin Yu pointed at the surrounded lords. 2 of them are clearly from their primitive world. If he encounters people of his own race being bullied on the mainland, he can ignore it, but outside, not everyone can easily bully them in the primitive world, especially on the battlefield of all realms. As soon as these words came out, everyone was shocked, because Lin Yu's words were not asking for the scar-faced man's consent, but were spoken in a commanding tone. How dare you speak in this tone in front of so many people on the other side? So arrogant and domineering. Isn't he afraid of being attacked? You want me to let them go? The scarred man's expression gradually darkened. Lin Yu's move was tantamount to stepping on his head and rubbing his authority on the ground. Once he really agrees, he will definitely lose all his prestige. How can we convince these vicious lords to listen to his orders? This is something he absolutely cannot allow. Did I not speak clearly enough? Lin Yu asked. Are you really going to go against us? The scar-faced man said coldly. As the voice fell, the lords of the Team Alliance gradually formed an encirclement, blocking all Lin Yu's escape routes. The atmosphere on the entire field suddenly became extremely tense. This change immediately made the people in the other 2 camps overjoyed. They did not expect that things would develop in the direction they most wanted to see. Team Camp and Lin Yu, no matter who suffers from these 2 parties, it is extremely beneficial to them. They even want to start a fight right away, preferably to the death, so that they can reap the benefits. However, what everyone never expected was, facing the encirclement of the Team Alliance, Lin Yu suddenly sneered in the encirclement. What? You want to bully the few with more people, so what? You're not so naive as to think that we will fight you alone, right? The scar-faced man said disdainfully. No matter how strong you are, you can't be a match for so many of us. You'd better hand over your resources obediently. This can save your lives. Indeed, no matter how strong I am, I can't be the opponent of so many people. Lin Yu said calmly. But it is still very easy to kill one among so many people. After speaking, the corners of his mouth raised slightly, and a faint red light appeared on his body. The scar-faced man who originally wanted to say something just felt a chill on his neck, and a dagger appeared under his throat out of nowhere. With a flash of cold light, what? The scar-faced man's complexion suddenly changed, and he rushed out almost reflexively, avoiding the fatal blow, and at the same time activated the life-saving skills on his equipment only. Before he could react, he suddenly felt a pain in his chest. Puff! The sound of flesh being pierced was heard clearly, and reached the ears of all the lords. The scarred man's eyes widened as he looked at the blood-red dagger that penetrated his chest, full of horror and horror. I just feel like the vitality in my body is rapidly draining away. My throat felt like it was filled with lead and I couldn't make any sound. Finally, his eyes went black, and he fell to the ground. Kill the 8th level Lord of the Alien Plane. Obtain 15.28 million mana, 7 battlefield merit points, and 8th level Territory Essence X1. Quiet. The entire position was silent. Everyone stared with wide eyes, looking at the scar-faced man lying in a pool of blood and a cactus soldier standing next to him. It all happened so fast, and suddenly that they didn't even react. A good while. Only then did someone finally call out in a low voice. Dead. Did I see it wrong? What a weird attack method. This is too. There was a storm in the hearts of the lords from all walks of life. In the blink of an eye, he easily killed an 8th level lord, and he did so in full view of everyone and under multiple protections. To know, the scar-faced man can become the leader of the Team Alliance, and his strength is very powerful, at least not much weaker than King Feng. Even this was killed in one blow. How terrifying is this strength? Forget about those Sanaran lords. Even King Feng and the leaders of the human camp were shocked to the point of feeling horrified, because they found that they still underestimated Lin Yu's strength, especially the unit that takes action. This is the first time they have seen a unit with such a powerful stealth assassination capability. This is simply much more terrifying than the 9th level unit. Who else wants my resources? Lin Yu did not look at the body of the scar-faced man, but raised his head and scanned the surroundings with sharp eyes. The lords who were swept away by him all shrank their necks and stepped back in shock. Don't be arrogant, even if you can kill him. There are still so many of us. How can you kill him all at once? That's right. If a leader dies, we can still elect a new leader. You are making an enemy of our entire camp, several lords said sternly. It seemed that having so many people around them emboldened them. Lin You tilted his head and looked at them indifferently. You don't seem to understand what I mean. I don't need to be an enemy of all of you. I just need to kill the one who screams the loudest. After saying that, he reached out and gently touched the handle of the ice soul sword at his waist. This action, the hearts of those lords immediately tightened, especially those who screamed the loudest just now had a look of fear on their faces, and their whole bodies tensed up, constantly alert to their surroundings. Just like Lin You said, he doesn't need to be enemies with so many people at once, because even he couldn't deal with so many 8th level lords at once. But killing 1 or 2 thorns is not a problem at all. No one wants to die, let alone such a temporary gathering of people, and they had no doubt that Lin You could do this. After all, the corpse of the scar-faced man next to him was the best proof. This is an invisible deterrent. No one dares to take risks easily and risk his life to be the one who stands out. This has caused thousands of people in the entire Team Alliance were frightened by Lin You alone, and no one dared to stand up and scream again. The other lords around him were shocked. The 2 primitive world lords beside them were even more excited and wanted to cheer loudly. Certainly, Lin You also knows that it is counterproductive. Before you have the absolute strength to suppress these lords, it is better not to push them too hard. So after the silence, he said coldly, I'm not interested in the fight between you, as long as it doesn't hinder me. It's none of my business what you want to do, but if anyone dares to challenge my bottom line, be prepared to be hunted by me endlessly. Endless pursuit. The lords from all walks of life felt terrified in their hearts, and could not imagine the scene of being crazily hunted down by such a perverted existence, especially since they were just a temporary camp. After this battlefield of all realms is over, where will you find so many people to share well and woe with you? Once encountered, it is not as simple as defeating and running away. Besides, at this time, Lin You added another sentence. They are my kin, so there should be no problem in freely using the foundation stones, right? Since we are both lords of the primitive world, we will naturally help if we can. Especially the courage they showed just now made Lin You admired. At least they are the only ones who dare to stand up and speak out, and they are also the ones who dare to fight against the 3 major camps. That alone, it was enough for him to help. As for the other silent lords, they can only say that they deserve it, and Lin You has no intention of taking care of it. Otherwise, it will only be counterproductive if it harms the interests of the 3 major camps too much. There is no need to cause trouble for yourself because of these irrelevant people. Come all over. Seeing that no one from the 3 major camps spoke, Lin You took it as their acquiescence and spoke directly to the surrounded lords. After hearing this, several people hesitated for a moment, and then immediately and cautiously walked out of the crowd and came to Lin Yu's side. Thank you so much. The 2 lords of the primitive world and the other 3 lords of other realms thanked Lin Yu with sincere expressions. Lin Yu nodded towards his 2 compatriots and then looked at the 3 people curiously. They are our neighbors in the primitive world, from the heavenly spirit world. The lord of the primitive world of the undead system explained quickly. Tianling realm. Lin Yu's eyes moved. He had heard a bit about this realm, and it was one of the few realms that had good relations with the primitive realm. Moreover, the realm plane is not too far away from their original world, and they occasionally have contact with each other. Since we are friends, we naturally want to help and directly say, let's go and exchange things together. Thank you for your help, brother. The elegant young man at the head once again surrendered to Lin Yu. Immediately afterwards, a group of 6 of them went to the cornerstone of the position and began to exchange things in full view of everyone. The tense atmosphere in the entire field also relaxed. Do you think we still need to win over him? In the human camp, a lord asked in a low voice next to the camp leader Chu Zhenai. No need. Chu Zhenai shook his head, his eyes serious. We can't control people like him, as long as they don't endanger our interests and the few people around him. Please let them go in the future. There is no need to build a big enemy for this little resource. That's right. But what about the Team Alliance? What should we do? The death of the scar-faced man was a big blow to the Team Alliance, but it did not damage the foundation. Just like those people said before, if the leader is gone, they can nominate a new one. It's just a bunch of rabble. It won't make a difference. What we have to be wary of is the aliens. They are the biggest threat. As he said that, Chu Zhenai couldn't help but look at the foreign camp in the distance, and found that King Feng was also looking at him, their eyes facing each other, full of gunpowder. Human race and alien race have always been two incompatible extremes. One is the race that occupies the largest number in all worlds, and the other is a race that is rare in number but has many types. Both sides are spread across all walks of life, and both want to compete for the unification of all realms, and the name of the strongest race. Although there are also fights between the same race and the same race, this fight is more intense when facing lords of different races, especially the big races such as the monster race, the spirit race, the Zerg race, and the sea race have long had deep grudges with the human race. If it weren't for the fact that the realms and planes are far apart, I'm afraid they would have been fighting to the death, and wars would have occurred frequently. But these have nothing to do with Lin You, for the time being. At this time, he had arrived at the cornerstone of the formation, and clicked on the exchange interface originally. He can only exchange it for one orb of faith. Unexpectedly, after killing the scar-faced man, he actually gained an additional 7 points of battlefield merit, and 15 million mana, which was just enough to exchange for 2 orbs. He couldn't help but sigh. The leader of this camp is really rich, considering that the cornerstone of the position was at risk of being destroyed at any time. He directly exchanged it for 2 orbs of faith. In the blink of an eye, the meritorious deeds were cleared, and there were still more than 7 million magic energy left. Okay, after exchanging the things, it's time for me to leave. You guys should take care of yourself. He turned around and said something to the 5 people next to him, saying that he had no intention of acting with them. After all, with their strength, they couldn't bring him much help at all. They would only slow down his ability to collect resources. The 2 primitive world lords naturally knew this truth. After thinking for a moment, he took out something from his personal space and handed it to Lin You. Thanks to the help of brother Lin You, we were able to escape this time. Although it is not a valuable thing, I still ask you to accept this thing as a thank you gift. Is this a scroll? Lin You looked at the thing in the other person's hand, and it was a scroll that he was very familiar with. Without any hesitation, I took it and checked it. Then he saw a piece of information that made him extremely happy. Name, Troop Upgrade Scroll. Grade, Rare. Introduction, used on designated arms. It can be directly upgraded to the same level as the Lord, and is valid below level 10. Really? This is the troop upgrade scroll he is looking for. I didn't expect that these people would have it. It really took no effort to get it. This way, he has a total of 6 scrolls, and he only needs to collect 2 more to raise all the royal families to the 9th level. Where did you get this thing? Lin You couldn't help asking. We got it from an 8th order SSS level Lord monster that we previously besieged. None of the 5 of us can use it, so we just borrowed flowers to offer to Buddha. I see. This thing is very useful to me, so I will accept it without mercy. Lin You nodded and put the scroll away. Then, under the gaze of all the lords, he walked towards the outside of the battlefield, and disappeared into the dark night in the blink of an eye. When the 5 people saw him leaving, they didn't stay long and left the scene in a hurry. In the blink of an eye, there were only 3 major camp teams, and lords from all walks of life left on the field, gathering together to discuss what had just happened. After this battle, Lin Yu's reputation was completely established among the 8th level lords from all walks of life, and no one dared to doubt his strength again. Let's go. It's time for us to rest. King Feng looked solemnly at the direction Lin Yu left, and whispered to the lord beside him. Then not long after, the lords dispersed one after another, looking for a place to rest in every corner of the position. A conflict between lords finally came to an end temporarily. A night of silence. Early the next morning, Lin Yu, who was resting in a building in the corner, woke up and left the position with his troops. After half a day of exploration yesterday, he had basically understood the operating rules of this battlefield. So without wasting time, he rode the Demon Emperor Dragon to the unexplored forest at dawn. As for the safety of the cornerstone of the position, he was not too worried. Although the people in the 3 major camps are not good people, but for the sake of profit, they will at least protect the cornerstone, so that he can go out to explore with more peace of mind and collect more battlefield treasures. And what happened yesterday also made him understand something. That's why there is strength in numbers. Although the large and small camps formed by all walks of life are not harmonious within themselves, they have to admit that their efficiency in eradicating monsters is much faster than that of him alone. Therefore, we must speed up the exploration progress to avoid even encountering monsters. Thinking of this, Lin Yu directly asked the Demon Emperor Dragon under him to activate the Swift Shadow skill to increase his speed to the extreme. As the streets passed by him, the familiar forest gradually came into view. Boom! The dull sound echoed throughout the forest. After more than an hour of fighting, Lin Yu finally led his troops to eliminate the ordinary monsters on the outside of the forest, and entered the interior of the forest. What surprised Lin Yu very much, the scene inside the forest is different from the outside. The surrounding monsters are chaotic and diverse, and there are even many monsters other than plants that live here, but it was quiet inside, and not a single monster was seen. Instead, there is a strange blue flower vine everywhere, entwining from the ground to the trees, almost everywhere. Looking around, everything is a deep blue color, and the vision is a little distorted and psychedelic. Be careful. Lin You gave instructions to the royal families around him, and ordered the troops to shrink the encirclement and gather around him. The inside of this forest is too weird and obviously unusual. After observing on the spot and confirming that there was no danger, he led the troops into the area covered by the flower vines, and walked in slowly. Along the way, the imagined danger did not appear. The surrounding environment is also the same, with trees and grass entangled with blue flowers and vines. Some even hang down from the trees, flashing with light, creating a magical scene in the forest. Lin Yu saw that there was no danger, so he gradually quickened his pace, and continued to move deeper, while observing the movements around him. I don't know how many flower vines I passed through and how many trees I crossed. It wasn't until his ankles started to feel sore that his forward steps suddenly stopped. Pause. With an order, the entire team stopped in place. Lin Yu's brows gradually wrinkled. He had just estimated it. I walked in the forest for at least half an hour. Based on his pace, he should have crossed the forest long ago without any monsters blocking him, but now he still stayed inside the forest, and he didn't see the marks he left along the way. In other words, he wasn't lost. Rather, as if to respond to his conjecture, at this moment, the frost spirit bracelet on his wrist flashed, and a chill spread throughout his body. Then the surrounding blue flower vines suddenly moved. The originally dim flowers suddenly burst out with a large ray of light, reflecting the entire forest into a strange blue. Immediately afterwards, the scene in front of him was blurry. In an instant, it turned into a forest of thorns, covered with flowers and vines. Surrounding them, not far from them, a huge rosebud with a twisted human face in its stamens slowly bloomed, accompanied by bursts of weird laughter that continued to echo in the forest. The surrounding thorns were also twisting wildly under the laughter, as if they were tentacles with spikes. Name: Deep Blue Dream. Lord: Race: Plant. Level: Level 9, Level D. Strength: 9,400, plus 3,760. Physique: 9,400, plus 3,760. Agility: 7,000, plus 2,800. Spirit: 10,000, plus 4,000. Skills: Blue Illusion, Mental Disturbance, Mental Storm, Chaos. All attributes increased by 40%. Introduction: a rose plant that is very good at spiritual attacks. It can create illusions around the body and attack in strange ways. Lord Monster, and it's still D level. Lin Yu's expression suddenly sank when he saw the interface in front of him. The surrounding scene has also changed from the original quiet garden to a forest of thorns, with a large number of monster corpses hanging on it, and blood and broken bones everywhere on the ground. No wonder I didn't encounter any monsters along the way. It turned out that there was a Lord Monster stationed here, and it was also a monster with mental attacks. The illusion just now was just to lure him here, and kill him. If it weren't for the 18% spiritual resistance of the enchanted soul gun on the frost spirit bracelet, he might have fallen into the trap of this monster. A total of 14,000 mental attributes. Even Ling Shi, who was roaring savagely, couldn't catch up with him, not to mention other arms. This was even more powerful than the green-scaled dragon python they encountered in the nightmare forest, which made Lin Yu's expression serious. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Without giving him a chance to think too much, a series of piercing sounds suddenly sounded. Under the weird laughter that distorted the human face, countless thorns with blue flowers rushed out and quickly surrounded him. The Lord level Deep Blue Dream's thorns cover a wider area than his ivy vine forest, almost covering the surrounding 2 kilometers. And they are now at the center. If you want to break out of the siege, you have the only option to kill the Lord Monster. Qing Gang. Without hesitation, Lin Yu shouted directly to Qing Gang and the team. Group gain skill. Savage Roar activated. In an instant, the red light rises, and the attributes of all plants increase by 30%, facing the sudden blue thorns. Boom! There was a muffled sound, and sawdust flew from the ancient tree. With the double bonus of Savage Roar and 4-leaf clover physical protection, the defense of the ancient tree soldiers is close to that of D-level Lord Monsters, coupled with Qing Gang's talent for commanding the battlefield, which increases the defense of melee units by 20%, and the holy shield provided by the holy object. It was easy to block the first round of Deep Blue Mimeng's attack. Vines and thorns appeared all over the sky, fighting fiercely in the forest. But Lin You didn't dare to take it lightly, because his savage roar only lasted for 30 seconds, and Deep Blue Dream had not yet used any mental attack skills outside of the illusion. It is necessary to close the distance with the Deep Blue Dream before the state disappears. Full speed ahead. With a loud shout, King Gong, who was at the front, directly turned on the gravity field, limiting the attacks of the thorns on the front. Then sword energy struck out one after another, cutting off all the thorns blocking the road. The huge Ivy, on the other hand, worked with the rear troops to contain the remaining thorns. As the battle progressed, the 30 seconds passed quickly. Buzz. The moment the savage roaring state disappeared, Deep Blue Dream suddenly moved. An invisible ripple centered on its body suddenly erupted, sweeping through Lin Yu's entire plant army with lightning speed. Mental disturbance launch. Lin Yu, who was unprepared, felt as if he had been hit hard on the head, and at the same time, a sound of lifting sounded in his ears. Affected by the mental disturbance skill, the spirit is reduced by 70%, lasting 20 seconds. Reduce spirit by 70%. Lin Yu was shocked. This was the first time he encountered such a perverted effect. Even under the influence of the frost spirit suit, which weakened the abnormal status by 25%, he felt like he was in a trance, and his whole person fell into a state of confusion. Even the troops around him are weakened, and their skill effects are greatly reduced. Not good. Suddenly, Lin Yu was startled and woke up instantly. It was just as he expected. After reducing their mental attributes to a large extent, the twisted face of Deep Blue Dream once again let out a strange laugh. The laughter was like substance, turning into ripples that spread through the forest of thorns, causing the entire air to twist. Spiritual Storm, activate. That's right, it is the last skill of Deep Blue Dream. Lin Yu never expected it. This Lord Monster actually uses a combination of skills to first weaken their spirits, and lower their spiritual resistance, and then launch a large-scale killing move, Spiritual Storm. Is this the wisdom of a highly spiritual monster? Without even giving him a chance to react, a terrifying storm of mental power swept through the entire team in an instant. The ancient tree troops and piranha troops with relatively low mental attributes fell down in an instant, and the other troops collapsed to the ground, unable to rise again. It's as if the whole world has been distorted. Buzz. Fortunately, at this time, the forest sage, who was not affected by the skill, activated the peaceful domain. The power of rules, which symbolizes absolute peace, excludes the mental storm and finally gives Lin Yu a chance to breathe. He endured the severe pain in his head, and used the power of rules. Just as the peaceful realm was about to disappear, a large red glow erupted, covering itself and the remaining plants. At the same time, the protective barrier and life curtain were activated, and two huge light masks appeared, covering a radius of more than 200 meters. Boom. The peaceful realm disappeared, and the spiritual storm hit the two large light masks hard, causing large ripples. With two pairs of blessings, they finally managed to withstand this wave of impact. Then the flower spirit army with the highest spiritual attributes was the first to recover. Under the leadership of Lingxi, it flew into the air and raised its staff high. In an instant, the group treatment lights up, and the emerald green breath of life envelopes the whole place, pulling other plants back from the door of death. Lin Yu also relied on the mental resistance of his equipment to survive and successfully escape from danger. When 20 seconds pass, the mental disruption effect disappears. There was only a mess left on the field, and the corpses of soldiers all over the ground. More than half of his troops were lost in one fell swoop. Fuck, such a pervert. Lin Yu cursed secretly, and took advantage of the gap between the Dark Blue Dream skill to take out the rare team battle props from his personal space, and prayed to the gods and angels. The next second, the divine light burst out, resurrecting all the dead soldiers and restoring them to their full strength. Go on, pull out its roots. At this time, Deep Blue Mimung had just launched two major skills in succession, which was when she was at her weakest. How could Lin Yu let go of this opportunity to beat up the drowned dog? With a loud shout, the plant army, which had returned to its full strength, rushed towards the main body of Deep Blue Dream, and launched a fierce attack on it. For a moment, vines were flying and explosions continued. Deep Blue Dream wildly danced the thorns in an attempt to stop them, but the effect of Lin Yu's savage roar was still there. Coupled with the defensive shield provided by the shattered protective barrier just now, they finally broke through the thorn defense of Deep Blue Misty Dream. A large number of attacks fell on the main body, and there were bursts of piercing screams. Among them, the attack is the most ferocious. It must be the Ivy that has the same origin as this Lord Monster. As if to prove his status as the Tentacle Brother, the vines rushed away from the surrounding thorns, quickly wrapped around the body of Dark Blue Dream, and fought fiercely with it finally. With the terrifying power blessed by the savage roar, Ivy uprooted Deep Blue Dream's body. In a burst of angry howls, the stamens were twisted off, and a large amount of dark green juice exploded. Congratulations! You successfully killed the 9th level Lord Monster, gained 1 million mana, and gained 1 battlefield merit point. A pleasant reminder sounded in Lin Yu's mind. The main body was destroyed, and the crazily twisting blue thorns around him instantly lost all their power, and fell to the ground helplessly. The densely packed blue buds on it also withered, and turned into dry petals scattered on the ground. Call finally done. Lin Yu let out a long breath, and sat down on the ground, feeling that his head was still buzzing. This spiritual monster is indeed much more difficult to deal with than other monsters. If he hadn't used enough means to save his life just now, he might have fallen into the trap of this monster. This is only D level. What if it was more advanced? It seems that we are not completely sure in the future, so it is better not to mess with spiritual lord monsters casually. It would be great if I could drop a troop token like this. Lin Yu couldn't help but think silently in his heart. The skills of this lord monster are definitely among the best in the spiritual category. Not only has a large-scale illusion, but also has abnormal linkage skills such as mental disruption and mental storm, which is more terrifying than the demon-type succubus. And among the 10 major factions, in other words, the 3 major factions, demon, undead, and plant, have the most spiritual units. The weirdest among them is the plant-type soldier, because the plant-type troops are changeable and elusive in appearance. They can also change the surrounding environment, making people fall into it, without even realizing it. It is one of the types that the lords least want to encounter certainly. Lin Yu also knew that this type of troops was rare. He has mutated so many times, and has never appeared a few times. He can only be counted as the charming Banshee and the Dread Dryad. Obviously, it is unlikely to be an ordinary level 1, so he didn't have high hopes. He stood up and shook his still aching head, then slowly came to the corpse of Blue Mimung to check what was missing. Suddenly, Lin Yu paused in his movements, his expression uncertain. He rubbed his swollen eyes hard and took a quick look, and found a golden token lying inside the withered blue rose stamen gold. Rare token. Lin Yu's heart trembled, and he stepped forward almost reflexively, taking the golden token in his hand. When he saw a string of information popping up in front of his eyes, his breath froze. Military token, dark blue dream, plant type, unit level, rare, army level, level 9. Introduction. After use, you can unlock the rare plant type soldier, dark blue dream. Requirements for use, level 9 territory, 5 million mana. It's really a rare unit. Okay. Lin Yu couldn't help but laugh twice, his eyes full of joy. Rare arms have a very low explosion rate, even in the battlefields of all realms. He has participated in so many battlefields, and he only got one when he killed the undead archmage last time. Unexpectedly, it actually exploded. This is also the first rare plant type token he has obtained by killing monsters in a real sense, other than the novice treasure chest. And it is also the rarest spiritual type of soldier. With just this token, he made a lot of money in this battlefield of all realms. It's no wonder he fought so hard just now. After taking a deep breath, he carefully put the token away and looked at the remaining things. 1 9th level essence and 4 8th level essences are better than nothing. It could be worth at least tens of millions if sold. Let's go. Get out of here first. After checking that nothing was missing, he immediately gathered all the troops around him and rushed out of the forest. The battle just now forced him to pray to the gods and angels. This prop can only be used once a day. If he encounters the Lord Monster again, he may lose a lot of troops, so it is better not to go deep into the battlefield for the time being. After all the monsters that appear around here are already D-class monsters. It will definitely get higher and higher as it goes inside, which is not something he can deal with now, so he just takes this opportunity to go back to the position and repair it soon. He followed the path he came from and returned to the area where his position was. But what he didn't expect was, as soon as I returned to the vicinity of the position, I saw a large number of lords gathering outside the position, looking ready. The number is huge, at least 30,000, almost occupying more than half of the lords from all walks of life. Did something happen? Lin Yu was shocked and let the demon emperor dragon descend directly to where the 3 major camps gathered. Isn't this brother Lin Yu? Seeing him appear, Chu Zhenyu, the leader of the human camp, his eyes lit up and he immediately came forward to greet him. What happened when so many people suddenly gathered? Lin Yu turned over and jumped off the dragon's back, asking in confusion. After what happened yesterday, he had already heard about Chu Zhenyu. He didn't have much ill feelings towards this guy, who called on everyone to unite from the beginning, and looked like a good old guy. But before Chu Zhenyu could speak, Kingfeng's voice sounded from the side. The news just came back that someone has found the lair in the Eternal World. We are preparing to launch an attack by surprise. Have you found the Eternal Nest? Where is it? Lin Yu looked surprised. This happened much faster than he expected. On the other side of the city, someone has been sent to confirm the other side. Lin You couldn't help but turn around and look into the depths of the battlefield. Go through there, and you'll find the other side of the city. Certainly, they can't be stupid enough to cross the central area, where high-level monsters are rampant. They only need to go around the peripheral area. Although this will take more time, it is safer and will not lose all the troops on the road. Brother Lin You, do you want to come together? Chu Zhenyu asked with a smile on his face. With Lin Yu's strength, if he joins, their side's combat power will definitely be greatly improved, and they will naturally be more sure of breaking through the Eternal Realm's base camp. Hearing this, everyone else also looked at Lin Yu. I go. Lin Yu thought for a moment and nodded. Besieging the base camp of the Eternal Realm is a great opportunity to earn magic energy and battlefield merits, and of course he will not miss it. In this case, let's prepare. We will set off in 10 minutes. We must act before the Eternal World is discovered. Chu Zhenyu smiled when he heard Lin Yu's answer, and immediately turned back to the team to make arrangements. Wait until 10 minutes have passed. At the order of the 3 leaders, the entire huge team mounted their mounts and rushed towards the other end of the city. By the way, is there anyone stationed at the position? Seeing that the position behind him was getting further and further away, Lin Yu couldn't help but look at King Feng beside him. He also planned to use these 2 days to exchange for a few more faith orbs, but he didn't want the position crystal to be destroyed when they left. Don't worry, we have 1,000 lords from each camp to garrison, and there are also some scattered people who stayed behind, so everything is safe. And we are making a surprise attack this time. Even if the Eternal World knows our movements, they won't respond so quickly. Really? That's good. Lin Yu nodded slightly, feeling relieved. More than 3,000 lords should be able to barely support them until they come back. Even if an accident occurs, people from the Eternal World will not be able to invade the position so quickly. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but look at the teams in the Team Alliance. What surprised him was that after just one night, the Team Alliance had already elected a new leader. It was Tang Wenchen from the Eternal Realm. To know, the Eternal Realm is the mastermind behind the destruction of the Eternal Realm. The lords of the Eternal World would probably go crazy when they saw this guy. He dared to show up like this and take the position of leader of the camp. I don't know whether it was because of his courage, or because he was overconfident in his own strength, but he didn't bother to care about other people's affairs. He even wished that the guy was seriously injured, so that he could still pick up the slack and maybe get a lot of resources. Ha! Lao Wang, you are still alive. Just as he was thinking about it, a voice of surprise suddenly came from the flying team next to him. An insect lord looked at another bald man, with a pale face in surprise. Yes, I was lucky enough to escape yesterday. The man called Lao Wang was obviously stunned for a moment, and then replied awkwardly. So that's it. Yesterday, I saw your throat stabbed by the soldiers of the Eternal Realm. I thought you wouldn't survive, the insect lord said to himself. Lao Wang laughed dryly, his expression a little unnatural. Maybe you saw it wrong. I was just scratched at that time. After saying that, he subconsciously shrank his neck and covered it with his collar. The insect lord thought that he didn't want people to see the scar, so he believed it and immediately started laughing and teasing him. He didn't notice anything strange about Lao Wang, but Lin Yu, who was not far away, could see clearly because of the angle. He clearly saw that there was indeed a huge scar on Lao Wang's throat, almost running from the front to the back. What kind of holy medicine can even cure such fatal injuries? I'm afraid the life seeds he got from the elves before didn't have such a strong effect, right? And why did that person lie and say it was just a minor injury? This also made Lin Yu secretly pay attention, silently sizing up the lords in the team. Then he discovered that some people were like that old Wang, with very serious wounds on their bodies. Some even had big holes in their chests, but they were still fine. They were just bandaged with cloth strips, and not even a trace of blood could be seen as a problem. There is definitely something wrong with these people. Lin Yu's expression gradually darkened, and he noticed something was wrong. However, he didn't wait for a closer look. Chu Zhenhu's shout came from the front of the team. Everyone is ready to activate the acceleration skills. As soon as the voice fell, several lords with group acceleration in the team immediately activated their abilities, causing the entire team's speed to suddenly increase, and their vision began to blur. In desperation, Lin Yu had no choice but to temporarily suppress his doubts, gradually slowed down and retreated to the back of the team, while observing the surrounding environment. It wasn't until more than an hour later that King Feng's voice suddenly sounded from the front. Attention everyone, we are about to arrive. A low shout made everyone shocked and looked into the distance. At the end of the line of sight, a huge building that was 70% similar to their position was located on the edge of the city. It looked both simple and heavy. On the city wall, there are still many strange figures standing, who seem to be the lords of the ancient world, who were responsible for guarding the position, but compared with their mighty 30,000 people, the number was much less. And just as the intelligence said, the large forces of the Eternal Realm are not in the position at this time. They have all spread to the battlefield to hunt down their lords from all walks of life. It's the perfect opportunity to attack. What a great opportunity. Everyone rush with me, kill me, full speed ahead. Without the slightest hesitation, the three leaders shouted loudly, then took the lead and accelerated their sprint, heading straight towards the Eternal Realm position. Upon seeing this, the lords from all walks of life behind him immediately accelerated to follow. Kill all the remnants of the ancient world. Rush. The shouts of killing suddenly sounded all over the sky. The whole sky was shaking violently. The loud shouts of killing spread to the edge of the battlefield. A total of 30,000 realm lords turned into a tidal wave, roaring towards the ancient nest of the ancient realm like a dark cloud. Evrion's face was filled with excitement, because as long as they broke through the Eternal Realm position, they would be able to complete the battlefield mission and receive rewards. And according to the inertia of battlefield number 1 in the past, those who destroy the cornerstone of the position will also receive a more generous final reward. Seeing that the Eternal Realm position was right in front of them, with such a small number of people stationed there, how could they care so much? They rushed forward one after another, hoping to be the first to destroy the cornerstone of the position. In the blink of an eye, the huge team crashed down and rushed outside the position. Do it! Unexpectedly, a loud shout rang out from the battlefield. The lords were shocked and their speed suddenly slowed down. No, there's an ambush. There is something wrong here. Everyone, be careful. Lords from all walks of life kept exclaiming and summoned all their troops to protect themselves. However, what everyone never expected was, just when they thought they would rush out of the Eternal World Army from their position, some of the lords in the team suddenly sneered and violently attacked other lords around them. Puff, ah, screams came and went, instantly spreading throughout the team. The lords whose chests were pierced widened their eyes, and looked at their companions holding weapons behind them in disbelief. The ones who launched the attack were those who were injured and originally thought to be dead. In just a blink of an eye, hundreds of lords were killed, and their bodies fell from the sky. Damn it, there's a traitor. Get back on guard. The other lords looked gloomy, and immediately gave up their offensive positions. But at this moment, on the quiet streets around them, there was suddenly a loud shouting of killing, and a large number of Eternal World Lords rushed out crazily, and the darkness surrounded them. The number is huge, nearly 40,000. How come? The lords from all walks of life were horrified, not knowing that they had been ambushed. What shocked them even more was, at this time, a series of reminders suddenly sounded in their minds. Lords, please note that the cornerstone of your position has been destroyed. Lords, please note that the cornerstone of your position has been destroyed. Dear lords, what's the situation? The cornerstone of the position was destroyed. The expressions of the lords from all walks of life changed suddenly, and they were frightened by the changes that were coming one after another. And at this time, inside the position of Wanji Yifeng, there were corpses everywhere, and Chu Zhenai, who was supposed to follow the team to the home of the Eternal Realm, was standing on the battlefield with a team, and at his feet, the cornerstone of the position was destroyed into pieces. A bunch of idiots. They fell for it so easily. Chu Zhenai changed his previous good guy image, with a look of disdain on his face. Not far away, another team gathered. If Lin You were here at this time, he would definitely recognize him at a glance. These people were just like the dead people he had seen before. They had obviously been fatally injured, but they were still strangely alive. Hearing Chu Zhenai's words, the man with the ulcerated skin smiled solemnly. I can only say that our plan was successful. I didn't expect these corpses to be so useful. As soon as he finished speaking, his body and the bodies of others around him began to fester rapidly, revealing a twisted and deformed body inside. Astonishingly, they are the lords of the ancient world, who are lurking in disguise. That's right, in the previous attack, Eternal World did not really intend to launch a general attack on the battlefield. Instead, they collect the corpses of lords from all walks of life, and then use certain abilities to disguise themselves as dead people, and lurk in the ranks of lords from all walks of life. Their plan proved successful. Coupled with Chu Zhenai, the leader of the human camp, he cooperated internally and externally, and finally destroyed the cornerstone of Wanji Yifeng's position in one fell swoop. Listening to the reminder in his mind that the task was completed, Chu Zhenai smiled. After exchanging glances with the lords and the team around them, a large number of soldiers were summoned by them, surrounding the lords of the Eternal World. What do you want to do? The Lord of the Ancient Realm's expression changed and he immediately became vigilant. What are you doing? Isn't it obvious? Of course it's to kill people and silence them, Chu Zhenai said with a smile. The next second, his face darkened. Go, kill them all. With an order, the troops suddenly rose up in the angry roar of those ancient world lords. They were completely drowned at the same time. Outside the base camp of the Eternal Realm, the whole scene was extremely chaotic and fierce fighting continued. After learning that the cornerstone of the position had been destroyed, the morale of the lords from all walks of life plummeted, and they retreated steadily under the attack of the Eternal Realm army, suffering heavy casualties. In the blink of an eye, those who fled, those who retreated. There was no way to organize an effective counterattack. Damn it, Kingfing's face was livid, and he led his team to retreat while resisting attacks from all around. In this situation, he didn't know that he had fallen into the trap of the Eternal World, and his inner anger reached the extreme. Each camp sent people to confirm the news from the Eternal World, and they immediately dispatched as soon as they received the news. Logically speaking, it should be impossible for the Eternal World to respond so quickly, but now, not only were they ambushed by the Eternal World, but the cornerstone of their position was also destroyed. Add these two things together, and even a fool can guess that they have a mole, and it's very hidden. But even if I knew it now, it would be useless, seeing that the situation was over. Everyone chose to protect themselves wisely, and fled in all directions. And Lin You, in the crowd, after killing more than a dozen lords of the Eternal Realm, finally couldn't hold on any longer. Everyone come back! With a shout, all the soldiers were recalled to their original space. Then initiate a random teleportation and disappear instantly. The random teleportation ability will teleport to any location in the current area. He is now in a battlefield area. Even if he is teleported to the central area and encounters a 9th Order SSS Lord monster, he is still very confident that he can escape based on his strength, so there is no need to worry. Aha! There was a flash of light. When Lin You appeared again, he was already on an empty street. As soon as he stood still, he immediately summoned the troops and alerted the surroundings. But immediately, he discovered a very familiar landscape, the forest over there that he had explored before. You actually teleported here. Lin Yu's eyes lit up, and his tense body finally relaxed. After checking that there was no one else around, he came to the stone steps on the street and sat down, breathing heavily. The series of things just happened too suddenly, so much so that he didn't even have the heart to care about anything else. Looking back now, there were indeed many problems with their operation, especially the fact that there are so many people from the Eternal World lurking in their team is a bit unexpected. But what troubles him most now is the cornerstone of the position. Without the cornerstone of the position, the dozens of battlefield merit points he had just earned could not be exchanged for orbs of faith. Thus, his plan to upgrade to the 9th level will be greatly delayed, which is not a good sign. But now that the matter has come to this, we can only take one step and see what happens. After resting for a while, he got up, dusted himself off, and prepared to rush to the position to see the situation. But at this moment, suddenly there was a burst of chaotic footsteps in the distance. A large group of people was approaching him rapidly. Lin Yu was secretly frightened. He recalled his troops without thinking, ducked into the alley next to him, and at the same time activated the power of rules to temporarily conceal his aura. Hurry up, we have to get there before the battle is over. Faintly, a familiar voice sounded. With the footsteps getting closer and closer, the entire team finally crossed the street and arrived near Lin Yu's hiding place. Through the gap in the alley, Lin Yu saw clearly the appearance of the speaker. He was actually the leader of the human camp, Chu Zenai. What's going on? Why is he here? Lin Yu was full of doubts. He remembered that Chu Zenai had followed the team along the way, and he should still be at the base camp of the Eternal Realm now. Is that one over there also fake? As if to answer his question, another voice sounded. Don't worry, I have arranged for a substitute before departure, so no one will discover it. Moreover, the corpses in the camp have been taken care of. I guarantee that they will mistakenly think that it was done by someone from the Eternal World. Well, that's good. Chu Zenai nodded silently. We must not let others know that we destroyed the cornerstone of the position, let alone let them know the identity of our realm alliance. Do you understand? Clear? After a loud response, the team suddenly sped up and left the street behind in an instant. It wasn't until they left that Lin Yu walked out of the alley with a solemn look. Realm Alliance. These guys are actually from the Realm Alliance. Lin Yu's heart sank to the bottom. No wonder he always felt that something was wrong. It turned out that the Realm Alliance was secretly doing something. What he didn't expect even more was that Chu Zenai was actually a member of the Realm Alliance, and he also took the position of leader of the three major camps. His disguise ability was simply terrifying. This is to trap their lords from all walks of life into a place of injustice. Without hesitation, after taking a look at the direction Chu Zenai and others left, he immediately mounted the Demon Emperor Dragon and rushed back to the position. As soon as they crossed the city wall, they saw corpses all over the ground. There are those in various realms, and there are also those in the Eternal Realm. It looked like he had been killed not long ago, with blood flowing all over the floor. So cruel. Lin Yu's eyes narrowed slightly. Obviously, these Eternal Realm Lords were killed by Chu Zenai and the others. Then the corpses were arranged to look like a fierce battle between the two sides, with both sides injured, making people mistakenly think that they were being attacked by the Eternal World. This way they can pluck themselves out. What a borrowed knife to kill someone. Quick, the position is right in front. Go back and take a look. Suddenly, several anxious shouts came from outside. Lin Yu's expression changed, and he didn't stay any longer. He ducked to the side and left the position from the other direction. Now that the cornerstone has been destroyed, there is no need to stay in the position any longer. What he has to do now is to spend the remaining 2 days and see what the hell the Realm Alliance is doing. The Monster Plain, Nightmare Forest area. While all the lords were fighting in the battlefield of all realms, a figure surrounded by 10 evil auras suddenly appeared above the silent ancient tree of origin, standing in the air. Hasn't it been discovered? One of them asked in a low voice. Don't worry, they are still staring at the boundary, and won't find out so soon. Another person replied with a chuckle. That's good. As they said that, they couldn't help but look at the ancient tree underneath. These 3 days are when the seal's aura is at its weakest, and it is also the best time to break the seal. After hiding it for so long, we finally waited for this day. They would never have thought that we had a backup plan. Let's get started. As they spoke, an extremely powerful aura suddenly erupted from these 10 people, causing the entire forest area to tremble violently. They are no one else. It is the Emperor who was secretly cultivated by the Eternal Realm, and the demonic realm with the Black Godhead. Since the destruction of the Eternal World, they have been disappearing and hiding to this day. Even the emperors of other realms have never known of their existence. The reason is to hide from the eyes and ears of all walks of life and launch their grand plan in secret. Now, the opportunity they have been waiting for has finally arrived. As the aura surged, one of them took out a blood-red formation compass and threw it into the air. Formation. With a loud shout, the 10 emperors took action one after another, using themselves as the base of the formation, bursting out vast and boundless power of rules, turning into a torrent and pouring crazily into the blood compass. Buzz! The compass whistled softly, and a circle of blood-red light spread out, covering the ancient tree of origin. The terrifying bloody aura, accompanied by the appearance of countless resentful souls, crashed down and caused the entire ground to begin to shake violently. Along with the sky above, there were also violent winds, lightning and thunder, and dark clouds all over the sky were gathering crazily towards this side. Boom! Finally, there was a loud noise. Large cracks began to appear on the ground where the original ancient tree was located, with the trunk as the center and spreading rapidly in all directions. In the cracks, a large amount of black evil energy emerged, quickly gathering over the original ancient tree, and a huge torso was looming at the same time. The emperors in various realms also felt an aura that made their hearts palpitate, and their expressions changed one after another. No, something happened over there in the monster plane. Come over and have a look. In the blink of an eye, countless great emperors tore apart space and rushed from their respective realms to the monster plane. Their reactions were extremely fast. Only, when they arrived above the nightmare forest, the entire ancient tree had already been shrouded in evil aura. The phantom of the torso standing between heaven and earth turned into wisps of energy, gradually blending into the evil aura, creating circles of black ripples. When they saw the 10 figures who were injecting energy into the bloody compass, the expressions of the emperors from all walks of life changed again. They're breaking the seal. Stop them quickly. The emperors were frightened and angry, and took action one after another. The power that destroyed the world turned into a torrent, and without hesitation hit the array and the 10 people. Wherever it goes, space collapses, heaven and earth surge, and everything is instantly annihilated. However, but at this moment, among the rushing emperors, a large number of figures suddenly rushed out and stood in front of them, and the power of the rules suddenly broke out. Boom! The two forces exploded, knocking both sides out. When the emperors from all walks of life reacted, they found that a large number of emperors who had defected before the battle appeared on the opposite side, protecting the 10 people in the formation disc. Ghost, I didn't expect that even you would be bribed. The emperors on the attacking side all had faces as dark as water, staring at the people in front of them. They had thought that some realms among the realms would secretly join the Realm Alliance, but they did not expect that there would be so many, almost 1/3 of their number. What does this Realm Alliance want to do? I just chose a more correct path. The Spirit Emperor, known as Ghost, said coldly. We have been trapped in this world for too long. It has been so long that time has become unknown. It's better for you. All you can do is stay here. I have no intention of continuing to play with you. Do you know what you are talking about? You will destroy the foundation of all worlds. Another great emperor shouted angrily. So what if it's destroyed? The Ghost Emperor smiled disdainfully. It's just a cage that traps us. Don't you want to explore a higher level and completely get rid of the shackles of these rules? You are crazy. You are really crazy. You will harm yourself and all living creatures in this world. Whatever you say, as long as I'm here today, you can't even take a step closer to this place. While speaking, the Ghost Emperor and other great emperors set up their battle formations, prepared to fight to the death. The Dragon King and the team looked at them with a cold expression. Since you are so stubborn, don't blame us for being rude. Come on. With an angry shout, the great emperors from all walks of life rose up again, summoning all the troops in the sky to attack Ghost and the others. In an instant, the power to destroy the world gathered together in one place and blasted out suddenly. Get out of my way. Ghost and others backed up the blood-colored formation, burned their godhead, and unleashed all their strength to meet them. Boom! The entire monster plane shook violently. Both sides attacked the intersection center, and the space completely collapsed, being drawn into the endless void. The originally lush forest of nightmares was instantly annihilated and turned into nothingness. Together with the nearby machinery empire, they were also swept by the aftermath, destroying most of them. Click! At this moment, a crisp cracking sound sounded. The space where the monster plane collapsed began to repair itself under the influence of the power of rules. Only, this restoration is different from the past. The areas that originally belonged to the Nightmare Forest and the mechanical empire melted rapidly and disappeared, leaving only a small area where the original ancient tree was. The continental plates located at both ends of the void are also getting closer, causing the space of the entire monster plane to shrink. This creates a result. The 10,000 worlds continent connected to the monster plane is gradually squeezed together due to the contraction of the monster plane. For a moment, the realm shook. Various realms collide with each other, and the space channels on the frontline battlefield continue to expand. There is a faint tendency to merge together. Ha ha ha, even if you want to stop now, it's already too late. From the side of the Realm Alliance, the Ghost Emperor's manic laughter could be heard. He stretched out his hand to wipe the blood from the corner of his mouth, and looked at the violently shaking monster plane. The faces of the great emperors from all walks of life were as dark as water, as if they had expected such a result. But in order to prevent the seal from being broken, they have no choice. Do it! With a loud shout, the emperors from all walks of life rose up again. Attacks blasted out all over the sky, sweeping towards the Realm Alliance, hoping to defeat the blood formation while they were seriously injured. However, at this time, in the black evil aura in the void, a vast and boundless aura rose into the sky, blocking all their joint attacks. At the same time, it was accompanied by a sound that sounded like it was coming from the 9 nether hells. 10,000 years. I am finally free again. As the voice fell, black evil energy surged and gradually condensed into a huge skeleton in the void. The aura was so powerful that it far exceeded the emperor level. The great emperors from all walks of life focused their gazes, and their expressions immediately darkened. What they least wanted to see happened after all. It's just the strength of the body that can easily block their attacks. What if all the power is unlocked? Go together. After looking at each other, they no longer held back, and all the power of the rules in their bodies exploded, suppressing the skull. The entire monster plane was shattered. A terrifying battle is about to break out. The other side, the lords from all walks of life who were on the battlefield also felt the heaven and earth shaking, but they had no idea what was happening. And in the 8th level battlefield number 1, Lin You, who was killing monsters, also stopped and looked at the chaotic void above his head. This sudden vibration gave him an uneasy feeling. It was like something big was about to happen, but no matter how worried he was, he couldn't leave the battlefield right now. So he had to suppress his mood for the time being and continue to eliminate the monsters, because this is the only thing he can do at the moment. With more resources, you can at least be more calm in dealing with changes. Quack, quack, you can't run away. Suddenly, a burst of sharp laughter, like a drake, interrupted his thoughts. Lin Yu's expression changed. He immediately recalled his troops and hid in a nearby yard. After a while, I saw 2 figures appearing at the end of the abandoned street, fleeing in panic under the pursuit of a team of Eternal World. This is already the 4th pursuit Lin You has encountered today. Because their positions were destroyed, the lords from all walks of life had no unified base and could not unite. They began to be hunted down everywhere by the lords of the Eternal World. Only a few relatively large camps can barely resist the attack. Seeing that the opponent was getting closer and closer, Lin You moved his eyes and asked Wang to use his stealth skills to quietly touch him. Just surrender and capture me. You can't escape. The Lord of the Eternal Realm yelled arrogantly and pursued him relentlessly. Each of them had a twisted and cruel smile on their face, as if killing the lords of other realms would give them pleasure. The 2 people who fled in front were already at the end of their game. Most of the soldiers were dead, and their bodies were still covered with wounds. Their steps were stumbling, and their eyes were full of despair. If this continues, they may all die here. Puff. Suddenly, there was a muffled sound. A running lord of the eternal world had a cut on his neck, and blood suddenly splattered the third child. The remaining people screamed and reacted immediately. However, what awaited them was a loud explosion. A stream of fiery red light swept out from the dilapidated courtyard on the side, instantly piercing the heads and abdomens of the two of them, and the forward bodies fell to the ground. Immediately afterwards, giant vines rushed out from under the feet of the remaining three people, surrounding them. Then a huge black shadow flew through the air, and dropped a handful of red mushrooms, which landed precisely inside the encirclement. Boom. The ground shook violently, and 3 kill prompts sounded in Lin Yu's mind, completing a perfect sneak attack. It was also his fault that these guys took it too lightly, and only cared about chasing down the people in front of them, which was why he succeeded so easily. If you compete head-on, it will definitely take a lot of effort. After taking care of the 6 Eternal Realm Lords, Lin You led his soldiers out of the small courtyard, and came to the 2 frightened lords, but he didn't want to wait for him to have murderous intentions. The Beast Lord quickly said, Don't kill us. I can exchange important information for our lives." "Oh, important information. Tell me." Lin You became interested. These two were not the lords of their original world. If they could provide him with useful information, he wouldn't mind letting them go. Anyway, these two guys don't seem to have many resources. "Yes, it's from the Eternal World. I just received news that the cornerstones in the Eternal World's positions can also be used to recruit troops and exchange them for items." "Can the foundation stones of the Eternal Realm be exchanged for items?" Lin Yu's eyes lit up when he heard this. After the foundation stone of their side was destroyed, he had been brooding over his failure to redeem enough orbs of faith. Now that he suddenly heard this news, it could really be said that it was a timely help, which made him overjoyed. "Are you sure you didn't lie to me?" Lin Yu stared at the two people with sharp eyes. "I definitely didn't lie to you. We heard it with our own ears, from the mouths of those eternal worlds. I guarantee it with my life. I swear too. It's absolutely true." The two lords answered hurriedly, and Lin Yu almost kowtowed, and knelt down. That strong desire to survive cannot be fake, and Lin Yu believed their words certainly. Just because they didn't lie doesn't mean the news is necessarily true. Maybe the Eternal World deliberately spread the news in order to attract lords from all walks of life to take the bait. But anyway, this was also good news for him, giving him hope of redeeming the Orb of Faith. "Okay, you can go." True to his word, Lin Yu did not embarrass the two of them again. "Really, let us go?" The two lords looked at Lin Yu carefully, and couldn't help but step back. Seeing that he didn't speak, he finally stopped staying, got on his mount, turned around and ran away. He was so fast that he disappeared in the blink of an eye. "Let's go over there and have a look." Lin Yu ignored them and continued to advance towards the Eternal Realm base camp with his troops. Throughout the whole day today, he killed more than 20 lords of the Eternal Realm and 7 or 8 lords of other realms. In addition to killing monsters along the way, the magic energy has accumulated to more than 200 million, and the battlefield meritorious service has reached 33 points. If it could be exchanged for an Orb of Faith, it would be 3,000 points of power of faith, which was a lot of money for him. In this way, we are advancing all the way to eliminate monsters. Soon, Lin Yu came to the vicinity of the Eternal Realm position again. It was already afternoon. On the edge of the Eternal Realm position, there were lords coming and going everywhere, all over the city walls. Lin Yu hid in a dilapidated attic half a kilometer away, looking at the streets that were in a mess due to the war, and observing their every move. Then he came to a conclusion. It is almost impossible to break in from the sky. You will probably be surrounded by the lords before you reach halfway, let alone cross the city wall and run inside. But he wasn't too worried, because he has stealth skills. He can sneak into the position without the enemy paying attention. It only takes a few seconds for him to swap things out and escape using random teleportation. The only problem now is how he can approach the entrance of the position under heavy surveillance. After all, the stealth skill only lasts for 30 seconds, and you have to use it near the entrance to get it in time. You can't just rush over and be reckless. Right, well, it doesn't seem impossible. Lin Yu's expression suddenly became strange. Anyway, his ultimate goal was just to get close to the foundation stone of the formation, and he didn't say that he wanted to destroy it. With his current escape skills, as long as he cooperates properly, there should be no problem in escaping. The more I thought about it, the more I realized this plan was feasible. Finally, I made up my mind to make preparations where I was. The reason why he did not choose to take action at night was because there were more lords in the position at night, and it was easy to detect abnormalities from his aura, which was detrimental to his actions. In contrast, it is safer during the day. Even if the number of people being besieged is very limited, it is the most suitable time to break in. 10 minutes passed. Lin You was finally fully prepared and reached the top floor of the attic. Taking a deep breath, he summoned the Demon Emperor Dragon. Then he swept out of the attic in a roaring wind and flew straight towards the Eternal Realm position. Accelerate. With an order, the Demon Emperor Dragon immediately activated his swift shadow skill, and before the Lord of the Ancient Realm could react, he accelerated towards the position. The speed was so fast that in the blink of an eye he was within 200 meters of the position. Strange, then why is there a plant dragon flying over here? At this time, the Lord of the Eternal Realm on the city wall finally realized that something was wrong and expressed doubts, attracting the attention of other lords. Then, they were stunned for a moment, and their expressions suddenly changed. No, these are not our people, they are from other realms. Enemy attack. There is an enemy attack. Shouts echoed on the city walls. The faces of the lords of the Eternal Realm, who were coming and going below them, darkened, and they immediately gathered towards the entrance. A large number of flying units appeared above the position, blocking Lin Yu's path. Sure enough, as he had detected, the air route was blocked. Landing. Lin Yu made a prompt decision and quickly let the Demon Emperor Dragon land quickly, turned over and jumped to the ground, then put away the Demon Emperor Dragon and rushed towards the entrance of the position. You dare to break into our position alone? How brave you are. Stop him quickly. The appearance of the intruder caused the entire Eternal World layer to explode in an instant. Lords kept coming from all directions, forming an encirclement outside the position. Lin Yu stared at the entrance that was gradually blocked. The 4-leaf protection activates. The Savage Roar is activated. Quick Shadow activates. Deception is activated. Suddenly, his speed increased to the extreme, turning into an afterimage that shuttled back and forth among the crowd, heading straight for the entrance. With the blessing of deceitful skills, his breath assimilated with those soldiers, temporarily disrupting their attacks. By the time the lords reacted, he had already passed through the entrance like a loach and rushed into the position. Marav. Without hesitation, he directly activated the stealth skill and entered the invisible state for 30 seconds. What's going on? Why did he disappear suddenly? It's a stealth skill. He went towards the cornerstone of the position. Hurry and protect the cornerstone of the position. The lords gathered at the entrance rushed into the position and rushed towards the cornerstone. And at this time, Lin Yu had already used his powerful speed to pass through the outer area and arrived at the cornerstone of the position in the center, and his stealth state had just disappeared. Where is he? Attack! Don't let him get close to the foundation stone. The reaction of the Lord of the Ancient Realm was also very fast. As soon as they saw Lin Yu appear, they immediately surrounded him, and a large number of attacks poured out, locking him instantly. Lin Yu's eyes were like lightning. He summoned the Forest Sage and directly activated the Peaceful Domain, clearing all attacks. Then came to the cornerstone of the position. Sure enough, as those two people said, recruitment and exchange can really be carried out, and there is nearly 1,000,000 durability hanging on the top. Not daring to think too much, I quickly swiped my finger and clicked on the redemption interface to exchange all my resources for orbs of faith. Where are the intruders? At this time, another group of lords ran out of the position and hurried over from a distance. Lin Yu, who had just turned off the interface and was about to teleport, saw a familiar figure in front of the team and was stunned. Is it you? It's you. Two suspicious shouts sounded almost at the same time. Lin Yu looked at Chu Zhenyu, who appeared in front of him in surprise. He didn't expect to meet him here at all, and he also happened to come across evidence of his conspiracy with the Eternal World. It seems that people in the Eternal World do not know what Chu Zhenyu did. I didn't even know that he was a loser in the Eternal Realm. Otherwise, with their hatred towards the Eternal Realm, they would never allow Chu Zhenyu to live well like this. If I disrupt the other party's good deeds, I'm afraid it will cause a lot of trouble. After taking a deep look at Chu Zhenyu, Lin Yu did not hesitate and directly launched a random teleportation, and together with the Forest Sage, disappeared in an instant. Chu Zhenyu was stunned for a moment, and his face immediately darkened. He actually saw us with the Eternal World. Now we are in trouble. One of the lords in the team frowned and said, obviously, they didn't expect to meet Lin Yu here. Once the news of their conspiracy with the Eternal Realm spreads, they may be frantically hunted by lords from all walks of life. None of this is the most important. What worries them the most is the Eternal World. If people in the Eternal Realm knew about their previous actions of killing people and silencing them, and knew that they were working for the Eternal Realm, they would definitely turn against them immediately, and even pursue them at all costs. They cannot bear the wrath of a dying man. What's more, there are still nearly 2 days before the end of the 10,000 Worlds battlefield. Such a long time was enough for the Lord of the Ancient Realm to crush them to ashes countless times. What should we do? Someone asked worriedly. Now that things have come to a point, we can only kill him. Find him and deal with him to avoid future troubles, Chu Zhenyu said in a deep voice. But with his strength, it might not be easy to kill him. It's okay, no matter how strong he is, he won't be able to deal with so many of us at once. When the time comes, we will act together and set up an ambush, so he won't be able to escape. Okay, I'm going to track his location right now. The Realm Alliance team led by Chu Zhenyu has over 1,000 people. Although Lin Yu's strength far exceeds that of ordinary 8th level lords, he is not confident enough to compete with so many people at once. This is why he finds it troublesome. With Chu Zhenyu's sinister and vicious behavior, he would definitely not leave him alone, and want to kill him and silence him. This shows that Lin You still has confidence. Fortunately, he ran fast enough. In just the blink of an eye, he was already teleported to other locations on the battlefield. But this time his luck was not as good as last time. He was teleported directly to the center of the battlefield, a central city area filled with SSS level 9th level monsters. Fortunately, it didn't pass directly into the monster's lair. Lin You glanced around and couldn't help but breathed a sigh of relief. The location where he is now is next to a wide group of rockeries. This rockery group seemed to have been used for viewing before. It was very clean and there were no monsters living inside. Moreover, the surrounding rock walls can also be used as natural protection to resist monster attacks. That's right, you can spend the night here tonight. Lin You took one look at the sky that was starting to turn dark, and gave up on leaving here. Although SSS level monsters are dangerous, he can definitely deal with them as long as they don't appear in groups. And in a place like this, he doesn't have to worry about being found, so it's a good place to stay. Thinking of this, he took the plants and began to arrange them around. On the third day of the battlefield of all realms, we arrived as promised. After a day and a half of fighting, the surviving lords were basically the stronger ones, and the mortality rate was also reduced a lot. But even so, fights still occur frequently across the battlefield. Boundary conflicts, competition for resources, and feuds abound. Not long after dawn, Lin You had already left the rockery group and rushed to the outskirts. The center of the battlefield is too dangerous, with 9th order SSS level monsters everywhere. Because it was getting late yesterday, I chose to spend the night here. Now that it's bright again, naturally we can't stay any longer. So very quickly, Lin You led the troops and marched cautiously along the abandoned streets. Found him, at this time, in a compound on the battlefield. One of Chu Zhenyu's men responsible for investigation and tracking suddenly shouted, "Found it! Where is it?" Chu Zhenyu hurried from the house when he heard the sound. In the center of the battlefield. He is in the center of the battlefield now, the Lord said in shock. His unit is the fire-eyed goshawk, which is known as the highest flying beast among the beasts. Not only is his investigative ability superb, but his concealment ability is also outstanding. Even if it flies to the center of the battlefield where SSS level monsters are everywhere, it is not easy to be discovered. Originally, he just did a casual investigation, with the mentality of giving it a try. But unexpectedly, he happened to find Lin You who was on his way. The central area, Chu Zhenyu murmured to himself, his brows gradually furrowed. I didn't expect him to go to that kind of place. What should we do? Do we want to go in and surround them? Another lord couldn't help but ask. SSS level monsters still pose a great threat to them. After all, they don't have the perverted defenses like Lin Yu's plant soldiers, so they can fight hard. Of course we have to go. Chu Zhenyu's eyes flashed coldly. Our secret must not be known to others. And if we keep that guy, he will definitely become a serious problem for us in the future. We can take this opportunity to get rid of him. What about his teleportation ability? If he escapes again, I'm afraid it won't be easy to catch him next time. It's okay, I've already prepared a countermeasure. Chu Zhenyu chuckled and looked at the stern-looking mechanical lord next to him. How is it? Are you sure? Don't worry, he will never come back. The machine lord raised his head confidently. Okay, gather everyone and set off immediately. With an order, thousands of lords from the Realm Alliance left the compound and rushed towards the central area, the other side. In the center of the battlefield is an overgrown garden. Lin You, who left the rockery group, led several royal soldiers to lie down behind a rock, staring closely at a tall black ape, surrounded by thousands of apes in the garden. Name, Iron-Armed Monkey King. Lord, race, beast, level 9, SSS level. Strength, 12,500, plus 12,500. Physique, 9,500, plus 9,500. Agility, 9,600, plus 9,600. Spirit, 9,000, plus 9,000. Skills, Giant Arm, Mount Tai, Madness, Chaos, all attributes increased by 100%. Introduction. The ruler of the iron-armed giant ape possesses powerful power far beyond the same level, and is not low in wisdom. Looking at the attribute interface in front of him, Lin You couldn't help but swallow. With a terrifying power of 25,000, Qin Gang, who is the highest defense, could be killed with just one slap. This is far beyond the scope of 9th level monsters. If his guess is correct, it should be the blessing of the giant arm skill that can reach such an exaggerated level. Not to mention the Taishan overwhelm and mad transformation, he had seen such skills before, and they were extremely ferocious. Then he took another look at the Ape King, who was nearly 20 meters tall, and Lin You finally gave up his plan to take action. Let's go! After saying something to the royal family members around him, he slowly retreated and left the garden. The battlefield will end at noon tomorrow. He must collect as many resources as possible, otherwise it will be too embarrassing when he upgrades to level 9 and has no mana to recruit troops. Thinking of this, Lin You speeded up and continued to rush toward the outside. Just like this, we walked carefully all the way, and finally, half an hour later, we came to a spacious and quiet street. After taking just a few steps, Lin You suddenly stopped. A large number of figures and soldiers suddenly appeared around the originally silent street, surrounding him. Even in the sky, countless flying units suddenly rose up, almost blocking the entire sky. We meet again, brother Lin You. Among the crowd, Chu Zenai slowly walked out with a humanoid soldier. It's you. Lin You stared at the other person. He didn't expect that Chu Zenai would come to the door so quickly, and even set an ambush here in advance. It seems that his guess was correct. This guy won't let him go so easily. He glanced at the thousands of 8th level lords and troops scattered throughout the street, and secretly observed the situation. No need to look, we are all surrounded here, you can't escape, Chu Zenai said proudly. Whether you can escape or not is not up to you. Lin Yu's expression gradually darkened. There are thousands of 8th level lords, and they are all elites from all walks of life. No matter how strong he is, he would not dare to overshadow them. With a thought, he directly activated random teleportation, and his body began to become distorted. Unexpectedly, at this moment, a mechanical chariot carrying an electrical energy box suddenly rushed out from Chu Zenu's side. Want to teleport? It's not that easy. With a loud shout, a white arc suddenly erupted from the electrical energy box of the mechanical chariot, shrouding Lin You in it. Affected by the electromagnetic interference skill, all displacement skills become invalid, and the electrical damage received is increased by 10% for 30 seconds. Displacement skills invalid. Lin You was shocked when he heard the prompt in his mind. Unexpectedly, Chu Zenai had specially prepared such a method to prevent him from escaping. Originally, random transmission would require a short preparation time. In the blink of an eye, he was interrupted by the electromagnetic wave, and could not continue to activate. I said, you can't escape. Chu Zenu's proud laughter came from the side. Lin You narrowed his eyes, and looked at the well-protected mechanical lord beside him. Even the protective measures were taken so well, it was indeed specifically targeted at him. Although the effect of electromagnetic interference is only 30 seconds, the mechanical lord has hundreds of electric chariots, which can cover the entire process even if they are placed in rotation, completely blocking his teleportation ability. The only way is to run out of the electromagnetic interference range to release the lock state on the body escape. Lin You made a prompt decision, and rushed towards the weakest direction of the encirclement. You got fooled. But unexpectedly, Chu Zenai suddenly heard a sneer from behind him. In the direction where there were originally only a few groups of soldiers, a large number of lords appeared without warning. With a single move, thousands of lords were summoned. Attack! A loud shout was heard, and dense attacks appeared, instantly blocking all Lin Yu's escape routes. Lin Yu did not dare to be careless, so he summoned all the troops and set up defensive positions around them. Push it to me. With a loud shout, he directly activated the active effect on the Frost Spirit armor, and an ice shield that reduced damage by 25% protected his whole body. At the same time, Qin Gang's savage roar started, and with heavy footsteps, he led the team towards the outside of the encirclement. The natural power of Ling Xi exploded, and with a loud rumbling sound, countless vines rushed out of the ground, forming a defensive net around the team. Boom boom boom. The violent explosion echoed in my ears. Even the powerful skills of Ling Xi were instantly destroyed by the huge number of attacks. The remaining attacks fell with a crash and exploded among the plants. The ice shield on Lin Yu's body also showed a lot of cracks, and wounds were scratched on his body. Fortunately, the elf envoy's group treatment came in time, allowing him and his soldiers to recover from their injuries. It's now. Seeing that the ice shield was about to collapse, Lin Yu's eyes flashed, and he led the team into the encirclement formed by the troops in front. Then with a bang, the ice shield exploded, and a terrifying chill that far exceeded the 8th level suddenly spread and swept around. Those soldiers were unable to react in time and were instantly frozen into ice sculptures, and the attack momentum was also stopped. "Stop him!" Chu Zhenyu, who was chasing behind, shouted in surprise, and the troops in the air fell down one after another, blocking Lin Yu's way. Taking this opportunity, the other uncontrolled lords tightened their encirclement and once again surrounded Lin Yu and the plant army. "So troublesome," Lin Yu cursed secretly. He didn't expect these guys to be so difficult to deal with. Seeing that the effect of the savage roar disappeared, attacks from all over the sky fell, without holding back. The life curtain and the guardian barrier were activated at the same time to protect the team. After a round of indiscriminate bombing and fierce impact, the two shields were shattered. Even the shields on the soldiers only lasted for less than 2 or 3 seconds before they were all pushed back. Even Qin Gang was seriously injured and had to return to the team for treatment. Really, it is still too difficult for one person to face the attacks of so many arms at the same time. If this continues, when the encirclement shrinks completely, he may really have to confess here. Haha, weren't you crazy before? Aren't you going to die in our hands now? Attack! Attack with all your strength. Seeing that Lin Yu's defense methods were defeated, the lords even laughed proudly. With a command, skills surged out wildly, and the flying troops in the sky turned into afterimages and swooped down. In order to put Lin Yu to death, almost everyone unleashed their strongest methods, which were so powerful that the air around him shook violently. But I don't know. Lin Yu had been waiting for this moment. Just when the attack was about to land, there was a buzz sound, and an invisible ripple spread out with the forest sage as the center peaceful realm launch. Suddenly, all attacks disappeared, leaving only a peaceful world. The arrogant and proud smiles of those lords were all frozen on their faces. Don't give them a chance to react. Lin Yu's feet suddenly exploded, and his whole body turned into sharp arrows and flew out. The speed was so fast that he broke out of the encirclement in a blink of an eye and fled far away. The expressions of everyone in shock suddenly changed. No, he escaped. Chase him quickly. Don't let him get away. As roars of anger rang out, the lords did not think too much and led their troops to quickly catch up, forming a raging wave on the street. As soon as Lin Yu put away his troops, a circle of electromagnetic waves enveloped him, putting him in a state of interference for 30 seconds again. Looking back, he saw that those electric chariots were already chasing him, and they were extremely fast. They kept following him and couldn't get away. The top of his head was dotted with flying troops, which completely eliminated the idea of him escaping on the Demon Emperor Dragon. Since you like to chase, then just chase. Lin Yu was filled with murderous intent, and suddenly rushed out of the street as soon as he accelerated, and the direction he was heading was surprisingly the garden where the iron-walled Ape King was.
Thank you for watching Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share and subscribe. Have a great day.